And we're back with our Whoppers. Now here's what I recommend you do. You see an article like this that says, oh, 20 places where you can go live without having to learn the language, or 20 places where English speakers can go to live cheap and live a great life. Now here's what I recommend you do. Our goal is to talk about issues that are relevant. We call them Whoppers, and they're usually something that we find from our perspective as a previous homeschooling, homesteading family that has become world travelers, and we lived in Ecuador 8 years, so we give our perspective to our Whoppers, and I've got some Whoppers for you today.
Hope it's not too windy.
We're at the beach. It's a little bit windy. We've been doing beach videos in Baja, and we're a little bit more tropical this time. We actually went swimming today, and we got some storm clouds on the horizon, so hopefully it'll turn out okay. But I talked in the last video about how so many more millions of people are trying to get their passports, and how that's all backlogged now and taking so much longer. And it occurs to me that with what's happening with the inflation, what's happening is that a lot of people are being pushed to find, and this is a trend that's been going on ever since when we first left North America back in about 12 years ago. And so, but it's picking up momentum, and it's just becoming like a huge avalanche now, and there's just more and more people that are just are being pushed out of USA with the inflation that's happening in America. And not only that, with everything else that's happening in America, there seems to be a big, huge push. But and this is why we make it a Whopper. I'm not here trying to tell you not to do it, because people won't come to my channel if I do that. Instead, here's what I'll tell you, okay? So I saw just there's no end to these articles. And it's like one more article about how, look, you can go abroad and live on less money, and it makes a list of places, and it's the typical places. And it says where you can go. The article said where you can go if you speak English and you want to be able to speak English. And interestingly, the first thing on the list was Thailand, and the second thing on the list, they're all countries where they're not English-speaking countries, but they're pushing people that don't want to necessarily learn the language to these countries, and that's what I see. And they also say in the article that people that isolate themselves, in other words, it's discouraging people from trying to somewhat go, to areas where maybe there aren't like a lot of other expats, where there's already a built-up sort of foreign presence. It's discouraging people from doing it by telling them that the statistics say that people that are listen to this, linguistically isolated. That's the terminology used. So basically they're telling people that if you're linguistically isolated, you're more likely to not live as long, and you're more likely not to be able to access health care, and all of these negatives, so that it basically pushes all these millions of people that are being pushed out of the high inflation, looking for lower cost of living places to quote-unquote retire abroad into these expat enclaves. And that's the problem, that's the challenge, because when you do that is when you won't get these prices that are mentioned in the article. Now here's what I recommend you do. Scroll down when you see an article like this that says, oh, 20 places where you can go live without having to learn the language, or 20 places where English speakers can go to live cheap and live a great life. just scroll down and look at the places and look at the prices they say you can live on. And when they say, and they still are saying, and in this article right now, relevant article, it says that people can retire in Panama on $1,100, just chuck the whole article and stop reading and go do something else. Because that's not going to happen. And it's just like saying that, well, yeah, you can live in the U.S. for $1,100. Sure, I'm sure you can find a place somewhere under a bridge or whatever. I'm just saying, though, you know, if you do things the way they're encouraging people to do, and that is to stick with where all the expat enclaves are, you are guaranteed you will not be living on $1,100. And here's another trick they pull. They'll say, oh, you can live on...
It's pretty windy. I don't know how this video's going to turn out.
Here's another one they had on the list. You can live in Portugal on $1,500 for a single person. Hey, I got news for you. I can live on $1,500 as a single person in North America.
Right.
I can live as a single person probably just about anywhere. You know, it's just stupid. Just chuck these articles. Moving on, next whopper.
Somewhere else, honey.
Somewhere else?
I think it's too windy.
Okay. All right, so we had to escape a storm. That's just comes with the territory when you have an abundance of office space, when you are rich in office space, as we like to say. We're always very rich in office space, but we often have to dodge the weather. On to the next whopper. And you know, you need to watch my videos, because in the last video I gave people a bombshell of a whopper, and I don't give bombshells in every video, but I do give bombshells in a lot of my videos. Bombshell is a type of whopper that is a one-time event that you're just not going to hear that, or you're not hearing it, and just the kind of information that or perspective that you just don't see anywhere else. We dig deep, we get that information, and we discuss the topics in a way that isn't being discussed perhaps elsewhere, and we give it to you in our whoppers. And here comes a whopper. You know how you've heard that people in USA are getting fed up. They're getting fed up with what people are doing in the schools to their children, and people are showing up and complaining to their school boards and this kind of thing. And some of them are even being persecuted for it. But I wanted to tell you of an incident to show you how things are handled in, say, Mexico. Apparently there was a case in Mexico where the teacher did something offensive to the child, and the parents of the child found the teacher's home and went and assaulted her in her home. So that's how things are handled in some of these foreign countries. What do you think? Which is better? You want to go complain to the school board, or do you just want to go take care of business to the perpetrator? You know, these child predator people that are usurping their position of authority in a place where they're supposed to be, engaging in the you drop your kids off so they can be educated, but instead they're getting, fondled and taught things you never dreamed you would ever see in your lifetime. Well, in Mexico, they show up at the house of the teacher and take care of that business. They beat her up. It's on video. But here's the thing, and I don't know how accurate this is, but they're saying, and I don't know, sometimes, I've caught some of these articles slipping in little things that aren't really true in order to dispel the news. And it could be a case of that because they say that they got the wrong teacher. But if that was true, because the article also said, and this is the part that perhaps a lot of people don't notice, but I notice this stuff, and I bring it to you as a whopper. The article said that the parents made the teacher apologize to the child. Now, if this was the wrong teacher, would not the child have said, "But Mom, Dad, this isn't the teacher," when she was made to apologize? I think so. And so something wasn't quite right with the way they snuck that in, where they said they got the wrong, but that could happen. And so I'm not advocating a lynch mob or vigilantism because of that reason. And there was a really bad case of it in Ecuador just recently, just maybe a year ago, where again somebody was, I don't know, doing something to a child, and then an innocent third party, a woman, was walking by and was wrongly accused, lynched, stoned to death, and burned. This is really graphic stuff and really just hard to swallow stuff, because a mob developed and showed up and they took care of it right on the spot in that way. But it came out later that it was the wrong person. And so, you know, this is why things like constitutions that, you know, that are there to protect people's rights have to be taken seriously by the people, because we don't want these lynch mobs and this vigilantism, even though it may seem like, hey, look, it just gets down to business, cuts to the chase, doesn't waste any time, and gives people their due. And perhaps it does in many cases, but in other cases you get mistaken identity and you get an innocent person that unfortunately suffers the brunt of that kind of a thing. So I hate seeing that. What do you think about that, though, about these parents that took care of this business? All right, on to other news. Here's another whopper for you. The country of Panama, I get emails from lawyers that are promoting this lifetime permanent residence in Panama. Oh, that sounds so wonderful. Why, you know, all of the benefits of that from Panama for the rest of your life. But they neglect to tell you that Panama is one of the countries that signed up with 14 other countries or some number like that to starve people. Yes, to starve people. They have agreed to sign on as a group, and no doubt they're probably hoping other countries will jump on the bandwagon to commit to policies that create starvation for the people, mass genocide by starvation. And this is a typical communist tool to control the population. Just like when you exterminate, you have too many ants in the house or cockroaches, and you exterminate them, you simply remove the garbage and they have nothing to eat and they disappear. Just the same thing, isn't it? Sorry about that. I just have to make some cracks because I just can't believe I'm actually alive during this time. But I am. So here I am, giving you Whoppers. The best, better than Burger King. So come back to my channel. Thanks for coming to the video and have a wonderful day.